Just so you know that I'm qualified to offer you this information, I'm a retired elder care professional of well over 30 years. I've worked in nursing homes. I was the executive director of an assisted living community, and I also was the director at the Caring Connection Adult Day Center for several years before I retired. I also have a graduate degree in psychology, and I specialized in elder care. So, if you took this handout, I will just remind you, the slides here are not exactly what you're going to see up here, but the ideas that I'm presenting with each slide are the same. This is just if you want to take notes, you can take notes. And if you didn't get handouts, there are handouts up here for you. If at any time you can't hear me, please just raise your hand and let me know, okay? So, being the primary caregiver of a frail older adult or any individual who requires significant supervision and assistance to safely get through their days, hopefully with some quality of life experienced during those days, is a very stressful thing. Who among you right now have been or are caregivers at the moment? Just let me see. Have been or are still? Have been or are still. And this includes if that person doesn't live with you or you don't live with them. You can be a caregiver and have someone in an assisted living community, or a caregiver who someone lives in senior housing, and still be providing a whole lot of assistance to that person. As of 2026, 63 million Americans serve as family caregivers. That's a 45% increase since 2015. And guess, you're probably not surprised at this. More of you are unpaid than paid. The value of this unpaid care in this country is $873.5 billion and is approaching $1 trillion. Caregivers alone spend an average of about $7,242 annually out of their own pockets. That equals an average of 26% of the caregiver's annual income in many cases. I don't know about you, but I can't afford to really lose 25%, a quarter of my income. For data information, you can look up online Caregiver Action Network if you like to do online research. Today I'm going to focus more on those of you who care for an older adult care recipient, but the ideas and tips I'm going to give you, most of them can apply to if you're taking care of a younger person as well. But I'm going to focus on older adults, and a lot of the times it will be older adults with memory disorders. Whenever I give a teaching workshop, I always try to start with the bad news so we can end with the good stuff. There really is value in knowing what you may be in for if you don't take care of yourself. Even before you say you're going to be a caregiver or volunteer. Maybe you didn't volunteer to be a caregiver, maybe you just inherited it. But some family members say, I'll be the one to take care of mom. Before you do that, if you haven't done it already, just listen a little bit to what I have to say. I hope it's valuable for you. Over 61% to 70% of caregivers also work for an employer. So many, many caregivers are still employed. The age of the working caregiver ranges between 18 and 64. So caregivers have a wide range of age, and they are in full or part-time employment. Caregivers cost employers more in health care costs than non-caregivers, and we'll get to that reason in a little while. Caregiver stress coupled with caregiver burnout has potential to deteriorate into an abusive situation. As much as you hate that idea, it has that possibility. The stress of caregiver isolation creates a higher risk of mortality and other harmful health issues comparable to smoking a pack of cigarettes a day. Anybody here smoke a pack of cigarettes a day? I don't, but if you do and you're a caregiver, you're doubling your risk. Yes, caregiving is stressful, and there are two kinds of stress. We have acute stress and chronic stress. Acute stress, if short-lived, can actually be beneficial. No, acute stress, pardon me. Acute stress, if it's short-lived, can actually be beneficial. It's the kind of stress that, because our body produces hormones like adrenaline that prepares us by raising our heart rate, our blood pressure, and our blood sugar to act in our own protection. So, just imagine you're standing on the curb of a sidewalk and you're about to step off and some crazy driver comes careening toward you. What do? Do you continue to step off, or do you jump back as quick as you can? You jump back as quick as you can. And that's because your body has given you the tools to do that. A little bit of extra sugar, a little bit of extra blood pressure, a little bit of extra heart rate, you have the energy to jump back. But as soon as that situation is over, and it may take a few minutes for your heart to calm down a little bit if you decide you're not going to call the police on the crazy driver, you're going to calm down a little bit and go on with the rest of your day and be fairly calm, cool, and collected. Chronic stress is another thing altogether. On the other hand, it is not our ally. It is not short-lived, but it is ongoing. Chronic stress is the kind of stress we experience when you are a caregiver for any length of time. So our bodies are always producing those stress hormones, keeping our blood pressure up, our heart rate fast, and our blood sugar elevated. Our hormonal system is in constant alert for fight or flight, with no respite. Chronic stress is known to have a negative impact on health. Now, this is the answer to the statement I made before about caregivers costing employers more for health care than a non-caregiver, because your health is at risk by virtue of your caregiving, unless you're taking care of yourself. And I'm not even switching this, am I? So we'll just switch that.
So how are you doing? What's going on with the HS there? They just shut the funding.
Huh, going backwards. Now we go, okay. The arrows were going backwards, I apologize. So the health risks, if you're a caregiver: high blood pressure, diabetes, weight gain, weight loss, depression, sleep deprivation, substance abuse, and self-medication. And I don't mean self-medication with Tylenol. The health risks associated with caregiving can result in chronic illness for the caregiver. And I'm sad to say that I have on occasion seen a caregiver pass away from this earth before their care recipient. I've seen that. Hypertension, otherwise known as high blood pressure, presents a risk to our cardiovascular health. Heart attack, stroke, I suppose AFib as well. I'm not a physician, so I can't say everything that hypertension will cause. Diabetes is also associated with cardiac health, but eyesight and circulatory conditions. So if you have diabetes and it's not under control, your eyesight can even be seriously affected, as can your circulation, especially in your legs and your feet. Weight gain impacts cardiovascular health, joint health, and can result in diabetes. It's all intertwined, isn't it? Depression interferes with our ability to function in daily life. Now, as a caregiver, you might not ever be diagnosed as being clinically depressed, but there is a level of depression that you might call the blues, where, you know, your enjoyment in life is lessened or gone. You don't feel like you have any time for yourself. There's no time for you. There's no time to get together with other members of the family. That's part of the depression. Not wanting to go out anywhere because someone might call me and need my help. Sleep deprivation carries a lot of health risks: cardiovascular, weight, health, mental health. If you're sleep deprived, you're not functioning on all cylinders. You're functioning on partial cylinders. And that hurts your health, but it also can affect your ability to properly care for your care recipient. And that's going to lead to your feelings of lack of confidence and maybe even some depression. Self-medication, and the self-medication I'm talking about is alcohol or some prescription drugs that are meant to help you with your mood status. But in the case of caregiving, you might do more of that than is healthy. They may impair also our ability to provide care. If you've been drinking, how can you say you are capable of caring for your care recipient if you've had more than a few? And it can lead to health risks associated with substance abuse, cardiac and mental health. Let's get around with this. There we go. So, what are you feeling? And just call out some feelings. If you're a caregiver, just call out some feelings. If it's any one of these, feel free to use one.
Check, check, check.
Check, check, check. Check all boxes, huh?
Ditto.
Yeah, yeah. Tell me, when you feel angry, do you feel guilty?
Yes.
Sometimes. And that guilt comes from the fact that you really deep down inside know that your care recipient probably can't help it.
Exactly. Yes. That's right. And I try to reconcile
Yes.
that because I know where it's coming
Yes,
from.
yes. You know, that's not always an easy thing to do.
And you're right, and forgive me because
Yes.
I really want to listen and not participate so much, but I think I shared when I was up there. I just left my mom, I'm her caregiver, and the experience that we had before I came was like, I've got to be here. But when I get angry, I try to talk myself into remembering, what brings it on in the
Yeah.
guilt, and kind of go have a mental moment to understand and redirect, et cetera, because it will become like one begets the other.
Yes,
And
yes.
then when all of them are in play, it's overwhelming, and then that's when the health stuff comes.
Yeah.
So I really try to talk myself off the ledge.
We're going to try to help you with that.
Please.
First of all, I'm going to say to you that I don't know who you're caring for and whether or not in their lifetime before they were experiencing whatever conditions have led to needing someone else to help care for them. If they were generally, good-natured and didn't have bad tempers and generally enjoyed conversing with you, then it's easy to say they're not at fault. They're really not trying to make you angry. If you had a care recipient who in their past was a difficult person to begin with, it's much harder to be able to say they're not trying to make you angry. I acknowledge that, and not everybody had easy people to live with. But we do have to realize that once a memory disorder or a brain-altering condition comes into play, they probably aren't trying to make you angry. And that hopefully will make it a little easier to talk yourself into it's not their fault. But anger is a normal emotional response to guilt. And guilt is a normal response to feeling angry. The problems arise when we don't know what to do about it. And there is a book, if you like to read, Pressure Points, Alzheimer's and Anger, and it comes out of Duke University Family Support Program. So sometimes do any of you feel guilty that you're not doing enough or not doing it right?
You get angry because you know the person before they were sick and then you can't reach them. And you're angry. I'm trying to do this, but if you're trying to reach that person that you had before. But you have to remember, you have to try hard to remember that now this person is at another level.
Are you angry with yourself or are you angry with the person?
I'm angry.
You're angry with yourself.
Yeah.
Give yourself grace. Give yourself some grace. There are certain ways that are easier to reach individuals with memory loss and brain altering conditions. And not everybody knows those. And I'll go through a little bit of that with you a little further on, okay? But give yourself some grace. You know, everybody gets angry. We don't want that anger to convert to abuse, whether it be verbal or physical. We don't want to scare our care recipient because we're angry.
No, it's not
Yeah.
to hurt them or
Sure,
anything. You're
sure.
just.
But it's not good for you
want
either.
to, but you can't get there.
It's not good for you to be angry and mad at yourself all the time either.
Yeah.
Yeah. So if you feel like you're not doing it enough or not doing right, just remember this: one person cannot do it all. One person cannot do it all. I can't say that often enough to people. And guilt will rob you of your self-confidence. And that will lead you to, I'm not doing it right, I'm not doing enough, and I'm angry with myself. Sometimes we feel overwhelmed that the barriers are insurmountable. And sometimes they are. Sometimes the problems that your care recipient has are not going to go away. Sometimes they're going to get worse. So, and sometimes the conditions are insurmountable, but you don't have to always be fighting the barriers. You don't have to always be fighting the barriers. Do you ever get irritable? Maybe cynical or sarcastic or critical? And that might happen not only with your care recipient, but family members who aren't helping so much, but telling you how to do it.
Yes.
You got any of those?
Yes.
I've seen a lot of those, yeah. I was in your playbook. Yes, that's part of it, yes. We do have some family members who try to tell us how to do it, but they don't.
But they stay way in the back.
They stay way in the back,
Trying
yes.
to tell you how to.
But it can erode relationships. And the bottom line is, especially with these family members who are your siblings or close cousins or aunts and uncles, you don't want your relationship with them to be ruined forever. And sometimes when we're under this kind of stress, we say things that once it's out, you've said it. And some people never forgive. Some people forgive and give you grace, and some people don't. You don't want to ruin your relationships with people if you can help it. Anybody feel fatigued, all sapped out, all out of energy?
Yeah, I do. And I actually said today or yesterday, I don't have any grandchildren yet, and my children are 30 and 40. But with what I'm going through with my mom, I feel like a grandparent. And and because of all that I'm doing, it's like, wow, this is a lot for me right now. So it just is a lot.
Sometimes for some people, when they're caring for someone with a memory disorder or a brain altering condition, it feels like you're caring for a child. The thing to remember that's very important is they are not children,
Right.
and you can't talk to them like children.
Right.
Still talking about it?
Yeah. Good for you.
Oh, yeah.
Good for you.
Yeah.
So, who can guess what the difference between caregiver burnout and a simple stressed out might be? What's caregiver burnout?
It's like when you're ready to give up.
When you got it right on the nose. No hope. No hope. There's no hope. I can't do this anymore. I just can't do it. Stressed out, you still have some hope. You're tired, you may be irritable, you may be angry, but you still have some hope. Let's see if this works well again. Oh, I had it upside down. That's probably why it didn't work. Oh, now we're going to get to the good news. There really is something that can be done to help yourself stay healthy and to prevent caregiver burnout. And it's up to you to take the reins and do it. So now that I've totally frightened you, I'm going to give you that good news. There are actions, and it can counteract the health risks of caregiving. There's potential for finding joy, great potential for finding joy in the act of caregiving. I promise you that. Some of these suggestions are going to require you to be bold and communicate assertively. I don't mean aggressively, I mean assertively. Others are going to require you to let go and chill. First of all, you need to think about getting some help. In order to do that, you have to actually, honestly identify yourself as a caregiver. I'm a caregiver, and this is my life right now. It doesn't mean you can't have life outside of caregiving. Acknowledge that you can't do it all by yourself. And remember, if you don't remember anything else from this, that you can't do it all yourself, and there is no shame in not being able to do it all by yourself, because nobody can. First of all, you want to know your boundaries, and you want to make those boundaries known to others. And when I talk about boundaries, I mean what you are able to do and provide in your mind, what you know you can't do. For example, I have talked to the male spouse of a woman who had potential for needing help at home. She didn't have to be in a nursing home, and she didn't need a nurse's aide at home, but she couldn't reach to wipe herself after being in the toilet. And he just couldn't do it. You can't fault him for that. He couldn't do it. That's his boundary. A son that doesn't want to participate in dressing or washing his mom. That's hard for a son, to dress and clean up your mom. But I have known sons who have done it. And one said, the first time I did it, it was the hardest thing ever, but I was able to do it. So everybody's different. So you have to decide what your boundaries are. I'm going to share a little personal story with you here. My mom wasn't an easy person. Bottom line, she wasn't an easy person. And she could be very manipulative. She lived in a beautiful apartment in Santa Fe, New Mexico, and my sister lived just a few miles away and was kind of her go-to person. She couldn't be totally without someone to call, but she could live alone, and she could fix her own food and everything. And she was fine for a while, but things began to deteriorate. And, suddenly she, wasn't feeling hungry for anything, didn't want anything to eat. She would prepare little small things that weren't enough to keep a bird alive. So my sister would bring her green chili stew, which she loved, and chocolate, which she loved, and it would sit on the counter or in the refrigerator and go bad. And so in her lack of self-care and refusal to accept what was being given to her to eat, she would end up in the hospital about once every weekend. And of course, as soon as she ended up in the emergency room, my sister was called. Now you're going to laugh at this. Every time it was dehydration, and every time she had a couple of bags of the dextrose IV, and some nice, young, good-looking doctor came and talked to her, flirted with her. She's flirting right back with him and smiling. Goes back to her apartment, and proceeds to do the same thing the next week. Ends up in the emergency room. So I'm living in Connecticut. I can't drive to New Mexico every time because it's a 2.5-day ride. And so I said to my sister, talk to the hospital discharge planner. And you tell that discharge planner that your mom is failing to thrive on her own. And if they send her back to her apartment to live on her own, they're sending her back to a dangerous situation. They said that. So that was my sister's boundary. I can't keep coming to the emergency room every week and find you flirting with the doctors. You know, that was a boundary. And just a simple example of a boundary. So you have to figure out what your boundaries are. Do you need the weekend off? Do you need 1 or 2 nights a week off? What are your boundaries? You must know what they are before you can share them. So take the time to think about them. If you're a list maker, I'm a list maker, I don't always follow them, but I'm a list maker, write them down and learn them. A good way to start, though, is to set realistic goals for yourself about what you would like to be able to accomplish with your care recipient. What are your priorities? Establish a routine that you think you can manage. And you'll be better equipped to discuss your needs and boundaries with others. But first you have to know what you're pretty sure you can and will do. And let that will do is be a part of it. Don't always think, I think I can do that. I don't want to, but I think I can. Don't always let go of the what you will not do. Talk with others. Then family, doctors, hospital discharge planners, rehabilitation facility social workers. They may see someone who's doing great in rehab, but will again fail to thrive at home. And you talk to those folks about your needs and boundaries, especially your care recipient's physician if you're involved with the medical care. You tell that physician what's going on at home, what you can and can't help with. Assertive communication is not an easy thing. Assertive communication means you're standing up for what you need, but it's important that you stand up for what you need when you're not in this high, upset, overwhelmed, overworked excitement. I guess I would say it's really easy to scream and yell and cry when you're upset. But when you're not upset, you can intellectually and efficiently express your needs. What do you need? Do it when you're not like really high on the emotional scale. It's a better idea. So try to avoid aggressive language like, you have to help me. That's not going to get anybody anywhere. No. We want collaboration and cooperation. Those are the goals of these discussions. And I'm not going to say they're easy. So more about help. I'm going to address the family issues first, because everybody has experienced, perhaps, family members who say, you said you'd do it, go do it. If you have family members that are telling you they're too busy with work or the kids or something to help, you're going to have an answer. Okay, you don't have to help me that way if you're not able to, but how about a little financial assistance so I can hire a companion a couple of days a week, or some financial assistance so I can pay an adult day health center so mom or dad or grandpa and grandma can go to a beautiful place where they have a lunch and snacks and activities and a nurse on duty all day. You have a beautiful one here in Windsor, the Caring Connection. And theirs is a health model, and they have a nurse there every day. Wonderful place to get your respite. But, and I'm going to go get to the cost in a little bit, so don't worry about that. If you have friends friends usually are very, very authentic and when they want to help. We want to help, we want to help. But they don't know how to help. So if you have a list of ways so that your friends can say, that you can say to your friends, yes, make that list. Make that list to offers of help. Keep it on your refrigerator if you have to. But things like bringing dinner once a week or helping with errands. Now, you may not feel comfortable with one of your friends coming in to watch your care recipient for any length of time for you to go out. But wouldn't it be nice if you could sit with your care recipient and have someone serve you dinner? Or if your care recipient is capable, invite you to their home for dinner and take the care recipient with you. Mom, let's go out for dinner. Janie invited us for a dinner party tonight. Will you go? Something like that. Or just help with errands. I need groceries. I'll give you the money. Just can you go to Stop and Shop for me or pick something up at Geister? Just those little things that you don't have to think about can be helpful. And again, the community, I'm going to pause for a drink of water. I'm getting a little dry. Excuse me. Adult day health centers. There are adult day health centers scattered throughout Connecticut. Sadly, during the pandemic, about 40% of them closed permanently. Fortunately for Windsor residents, the Caring Connection actually opened up before a lot of them with all of the pandemic precautions. And they only had about 6 or 7 people there at first, and they were all wearing masks. But the Caring Connection does have a nurse on duty every day. They're there from Monday to Friday, and if the hours are the same as when I worked there, it's 7 in the morning to 6 at night. And I hear that their new director is wonderful, and that their therapeutic recreation person is wonderful, and people enjoy being there. They're treated like adults. They have snack, they have lunch, all included. If they have bathroom issues, they have nurses' aides to take them to the bathroom and do whatever is necessary to keep them healthy with their hygiene. And by the way, the lunch is a hot lunch provided by, it used to be what? Lily's. Oh, so it's the Lily's. That's a different one. It wasn't provided by Lily's when I was there.
Lisa's a half ago. Lily's is directly across the street.
I retired from there in 2017, so it's been a while. But I can't say enough about them. Or adult day centers in general, and they are inspected. They are inspected, so they have to pass inspections every 3 years. There are paid companions from any number of home care companies. Some of the home care companies also have nursing care and some don't. Some are just companions, and they don't do personal care, and they don't do any nursing. Some are just come in and maybe help you get dressed a little bit in the day, help you put your makeup on, maybe take you out for a walk or take you to a movie or something like that. They're not permitted to do a whole lot of personal care, and your care recipient may not need that. But again, they are paid, and I'm going to get to payer sources in a little bit. There's also a new program that one of the members of our Commission on Aging found and brought up a few weeks ago. Hartford Healthcare has the REACH program, capital REACH. It is only for care recipients that are homebound. So if your care recipient really can't get out to the doctor, if your care recipient can't go out for a blood test or something like that, or it's all for homebound. And Medicare covers it, and I believe Medicaid as well. would cover it. I don't know the details of it, but it is comprehensive medical care for a homebound older adult. And there are brochures about it available, and you could also look up, if you go online, Hartford Healthcare and the REACH program. There are subsidy programs, special payer programs. Medicaid, home and community-based programs. So Medicaid will pay for some home care. And Medicaid will also, through an agency, pay for it doesn't pay for the Caring Connection, but it helps pay for the daycare center. They don't pay the daycare center. You get a certain amount to use every day or every week, and you can use it partially on the daycare center and partially on home care, or you can use it all on home care. But there are programs that will help you pay for the adult daycare center. And there's also the adult family foster care, and that's where someone from your family comes to live with you and gets paid to care for you, or you go live, or you live with them and they get paid to live with you. And that's also among the Medicaid. I'm going to give you a phone number. The name of the organization is Connecticut Community Care, otherwise known as CCCI. And their phone number is 1-860-297-8600. And how many of you came to the Choose the Right Caregiver workshop that Kathy Roby gave back in the fall? If you came to that, she had handouts for you, and she gave a really wonderful program. I have her handouts here, and among these handouts are some resources for payer sources and how to get help into your home and choose the right help if you're a caregiver and you need help. And there's plenty of handouts here for that. Those are Kathy's handouts. You may have it already. It's called Help at Home. Also, if your care recipient is a veteran, there's something called a VA Aid and Assistance Program. And you have to apply for it. But fortunately, if you go see the Windsor Social Service Department downstairs, they have access and information to an agent that will help connect you with the Veterans Aid and Assistance Program. And they pay for a good many of such things as assisted living, home care, and even some nursing home care for veterans. Now for yourself a little bit, support groups. And support groups can be a challenge because what do I do with my care recipient if I'm going to a support group? Some have separate groups, separate rooms where they keep, where someone helps to keep them occupied with, some activities, or maybe a movie or a television, music, whatever. They don't all have that. It's good if they do. Also, if you're very close to the pastor of your church, some pastors are qualified pastoral counselors. I will share with you, not every minister or pastor or priest is a qualified counselor. But if yours is not, they probably can put you in contact with one who is. Also, municipal social service departments can fill you in with resources. And one of those resources that I neglected to share with you was the North Central Area Agency on Aging. And they also have a lot of resources to help with how to get help and how to pay for it. The Alzheimer's Association sometimes has caregivers classes. If you can get to one of those before you become a caregiver, it would be great. But if that's not the case, I don't know if they have any provisions for caring for your care recipient while you're taking a class. I don't know that. In every town, there are handyman services. maybe you fix a little small electrical problem that doesn't require an electrician, or lawn care and light repair. Now, I know that the town of Windsor used to have a group of teenagers that would do lawn leaf raking, and I don't know if that program is still active or not, but it would be something to check in with the social services first, and if they can't help you, youth services might be able to tell you if there are any youth programs where you can get young people to come and help with the lawn or something like that. Also, if you like to do online research, you can, again, you have one paper there, one of your handouts is from the Mayo Clinic about caregiver stress. Mayo Clinic's a great source. The Alzheimer's Association is a great source. And there are other organizations that can help with stress relief from caregiving.
Well, you gotta keep straight.
Self-care is just as important as getting help, because getting help is part of self-care. And if I were to ask you, was that the first thing you let go of when you became a caregiver, I'll bet you'd say yes. Taking care of yourself was the first thing you let go of. We'll start with good nutrition. And that's one of the reasons I said, get your neighbor to bring you dinner some night. Make sure that all the food categories are there. Veggies and a little bit of starch and some good lean protein. Get good nutrition. I know that it's really easy to, and I love pizza, but pizza's not good nutrition every night of the week. And McDonald's is, and it gets expensive too. But to grab a donut or to grab cookies when you're hungry and not get that protein and not get the fruits and the veggies, your body's not going to be prepared to take care of your caregiver, and your body's going to wear down for you too. So all of those comfort foods that we might like, many of them are highly processed, and they're just not good for you, and it's not, especially for the job that you're undertaking. So keep it simple. Keep some fresh fruits and veggies in the house. Most of them don't take any time to prepare. Any of you like fresh apples? Any of you like peanut butter?
Yes.
Do you know how good peanut butter is on a fresh apple? It's so good. That's what I eat for lunch sometime, and it's very, very nutritious. Yeah. Yeah.
Have you ever tried the peanuts with the cinnamon, bacon?
I haven't tried that yet, but bacon and peanut butter go together. So, also you do need some complex carbohydrates, sweet potatoes, butternut squash, and even whole grain breads at a limit. Bread isn't the best thing, but bread's really good. We really like bread, and so a whole grain bread is better than white bread. And believe me, eggs are not the villains that we used to think they were. They're not. And again, friends can be a really big help when they're aware of how they can help. Exercise. Don't have time. Don't have time. So much effect. Oh, wait a minute. How did I get to that? I'm going to change my slides got mixed up. Okay. I'm going to do exercise on the fly because I don't have my exercise slip. Exercise is a great stress reliever. That's medically proven. Because exercise uses up those hormones that are churning in your body to raise your heart rate, raise your blood pressure, and raise your blood sugar. Exercise will use those hormones up. They use it up, and it's good for you. It's also good for your care recipient. It's also good. So, let's see. Walking is great. Does your care recipient still walk? No. I've started doing at home, because of the cold weather, I don't like to walk when it's 2 degrees below zero. There's a little walk fit program on my phone, and it's 10 minutes. Well, it started with 7 minutes a day, now it's 13 minutes a day. They grow it without telling you. But it's a little aerobic exercise program. A lot of it is marching and stuff. It's not hard. And I'll tell you it's not hard because I just had a hip replaced in October. And I'm doing fine, and I can do the exercise. So it's not hard. So even on your phone, if you can get, maybe half an hour a day, in the house if you have to, but do something. If you have an exercise bike, find a walking buddy. If you're, if you can push a wheelchair, then walk with your care recipient. It's good for them to get outside in the good weather. But if you had someone to talk to while you're walking, maybe one of your friends would walk with you. Find a walking buddy. Does your care recipient like to dance, or did they like to dance? Yes. Okay. Even if you dance with them in a chair, you're moving, right? You're moving. My grandpa loved to dance. Couldn't carry a tune in a 30-gallon tub, but he loved to dance. And even when he couldn't walk by himself, he had a nurse's aide in the nursing home where he lived, for as long as he could sit up in a chair, that would dance him from his bed to his chair to the radio music. So you can hold them tight if you're safe. Get a gait belt. Gait belts. Get a gait belt. That'll help. And dance for a little bit, even if it's 2 minutes. You can entertain them. You can keep the music going, and you can dance and entertain your care recipient. That would be fun, wouldn't it? But so yeah, Grandpa loved to dance, and he danced for as long as he could. I guess I would say take activities in small bites, because that may be the only way you can. You might not have an hour, but you don't have to do something for your care recipient. But maybe you can carve out 15 or 20 minutes. Especially if they're in the room with you, or you're doing it in the room with them. They might be very entertained by your exercises. Okay. Now we're on sleep. And it really is essential for the maintenance of your own health. And there are helping resources if you need to get sleep. Avoid alcohol before bedtime. It's not going to help. And find ways to relax. So much of caregiving and caregiver health depends upon getting sufficient sleep. And caregiver sleep deprivation puts both the caregiver and care recipient at risk for accidents. Poor decision making and deteriorating caregiver-care recipient relationships. Because that sleep deprivation is at risk to increase your feelings of guilt, irritation, anger, and of course fatigue. Sometimes sleep deprivation comes from worry, and sometimes it comes from a care recipient who's taken up nighttime wandering. Anybody have nighttime wandering as a worry? Or I worked in an assisted living community, and we had a secured memory neighborhood in one area, but some families would be a little bit reluctant to move their loved one to the memory area, and we did have a couple of folks who were walking out at night or had risk of walking out at night. And there was no receptionist at the front desk after, I guess, 8 or 9 o'clock. Now, I don't know about every building like ours was, but it always had to be, by law, unlocked going out. But it wasn't unlocked coming in.
And you know that's very similar to what just happened, was it in Windsor, Windsor lock?
Yes.
Yeah.
But
There may,
don't they have the alarm the minute they push out? The
Um,
alarm will go out.
they would, but you would, not necessarily in an assisted living community would you hear that in the main entrance. You wouldn't hear it in a main entrance because ideally, once people start to wander at night, they're not safe and they need to be, relocated to a memory care. But sometimes it's very difficult to get that to happen. Yeah, yeah. It's unfortunate, but it happens, and so the person got an overnight caregiver, and that's what the family did for her, so she wouldn't walk out. Some other suggestions, though, for overnight, so you can sleep. If it's wandering overnight or even during the day, I mean, you don't take your care recipient in the bathroom with you, I would assume. So if they're really healthy and I mean, my grandfather was much healthier than my grandmother, and he would walk out and take a walk. He walked every day of his life anyway, so even when he couldn't find his way home, he walked. So if wandering either day or night is a problem, get somebody to help you put a lock that only you can open, or get one up high so your care recipient can't get it. You have to be able to get it though, so that's the problem. But if you have a pin, a lock with a pin number on it, so it doesn't unlock without the pin, just make sure they don't see you when you're...
Yes,
because I'll tell you.
They put their hand up there and do it too.
I have been told by people in nursing homes, don't let any of our residents see you open the door, because they will remember that number.
Yes, they will.
They will, that's why, if it's the only thing they remember that day, they'll remember that number. Yeah, it happens, it happens. But the pin number to get in and out is probably the best bet. Just make sure that it's always secure, and that you can change it if you think that that person has seen it, because then they can't get out. Now, if you have stairs and you're worried about falling downstairs, that's another whole issue. And I would suggest that if that's the situation, do your best to get someone to come in overnight, at least so you can get 5 or 6 hours, at least. If it's worry, just about things in general, there are some ways to relax at night. I have one of those brains that sometimes, I can be as tired as can be, but make me say one word before I drop off, and then the brain starts going, right? The brain will go all night. There are phone apps. I have one called Calm, and it does help to some extent. It helps. This is going to sound really weird, but I have purchased a magnesium and lavender cream in a little pot, and I rub it on my legs and my feet every night. If you have a little bit of nervous feet or active legs at night, it helps that. But the lavender scientifically has been proven to be a relaxing herb. And somewhere I read years ago that a woman who was having a lot of trouble sleeping in a nursing home or an assisted living somewhere, they began to wash her sheets in something with a lavender fragrance, and suddenly she was sleeping like a log. So, again, I can't prove to you that lavender is going to help you, but lavender has helped me, and it has been shown to help other people. What do you know? I got it right that time. Social supports. Does part of the depression you feel come from the fact that you're feeling isolated from your life, from what life was before caregiving? Is that where some of your depression and some of your anger and your guilt and irritableness comes from? You feel like you're separated from that, somewhat anyway. Social supports are really, really necessary to prevent depression and your isolation. So time spent with loving and supportive friends promotes feelings of well-being. And if you have a friend who likes your care recipient and your care recipient likes, invite the friend over and have a little party with the 3 of you or 4 of you or whatever. You know, play cards, even if someone doesn't play cards very well. A social network creates sources upon which to draw when extra time is needed for help, especially with people who understand your situation and will help prevent you from feeling isolated. In other words, don't invite people to visit if they're going to spend the hour or 2 there with you telling you how to do your job. That's not helpful, that's not supportive. They think it is. They really think it is. And so I'm not calling them bad people. But you don't want to spend your hour socially with people who are telling you how to do your work. Social supports will help you with feelings of self-worth when caregiving feels overwhelming and you feel like you can't do anything right. Knowing your feelings are recognized and validated is important. Support group or friends. Caregivers need time away from their care recipient. Time away to help lighten your perspective on your role as a caregiver. And believe me, as much as your care recipient may depend upon you for almost everything, he or she needs respite from you almost as much as you need it from them. I promise you that. Before I get to this last slide, I'm going to read you something. You may or may not have taken this handout. It's called Alzheimer's Caregivers, the Emotional Experience. So if you're caregiving someone with a memory disorder or a brain-altering disorder, this would apply to you. Caregiving for an individual experiencing Alzheimer's disease or related dementia is a major commitment. A commitment characterized by a constellation of emotions, every one of which is valid and normal. One might expect to feel sad, depressed, and helpless. Anger, guilt, confusion, and emotional exhaustion are also feelings the caregiver might very well experience. Sometimes the caregiver might feel bombarded by more than one or even all of the emotions at once, unable to identify the root of the whole mess. The emotional experience of caregiving is a major contributing factor to caregiver stress. Caregivers who don't also take care of themselves often fall ill and may die before their care recipient. Coping with the emotions associated with caregiving is not always easy, but is essential to any caregiver self-care survival plan. Avoid burnout and exhaustion by making some time to get away from caregiving. Caregivers who take some time for self-care are more likely to find joyful interludes in the caregiving. You will find yourself more aware of the small victories, those slices of time, when you can sense the connection with the person your care recipient was, and still is, only now locked inside of him or herself. Among the most difficult emotions to manage is guilt. The fact is, no matter how knowledgeable or experienced the caregiver is, one person cannot do it all, and nobody will get caregiving 100% right 100% of the time. Nothing you or any other family member could have done would have prevented this disease from taking your loved one. So ditch the guilt. It will only serve to diminish your energy. Take a practical, honest look at your strengths and your limitations. Set some boundaries for yourself, ask for help. Sometimes other family members and good friends are just waiting to be told what is needed. Professional help is also available, and not all of it costs an arm and a leg. Anger is another of the emotions one might not expect to feel and can contribute to guilt because caregivers might think they should not be angry. Anger is so very normal if you are a primary caregiver of an individual with Alzheimer's disease or a related dementia. Let's face it, your life has changed dramatically as a result of you assuming the caregiving role. Anger at the loss of life as you knew it is a valid emotion. In your head, you know your caregiver recipient cannot be responsible for the changes in your life. Times occur, however, when caregivers really feel the need to hold somebody responsible. Also is the anger at the situation, a situation that you have little power to change without backing away from your self-appointed responsibilities. A support group, a good friend, a knowledgeable counselor, a member of the clergy trained in counseling, any one or combination of these resources can serve as sounding boards, a way to unload and unleash the anger without doing harm. The anger must be expressed, acknowledged, validated, and let go in ways that offer relief without anybody being a direct target of the tirade. The guilt, the anger, along with the more expected sadness, depression, and feelings of helplessness are all actually manifestations of the grief one likely feels as the care recipient progressively loses their connection with the world in which they live. Described in a model of grief for spouses and adult children caring for individuals with dementing illness. This model of grief recognizes grief for the losses experienced through the experience of caring for an individual with Alzheimer's disease or related dementia, the loss of relationship as it had once been. At some point in the caregiving process, caregivers will likely experience what we call anticipatory grief, the grief that occurs when physical health is the expected prognosis. Physical death is the expected prognosis. And then there is the final grief at the time of the care recipient's physical death. The caregiver may experience a very emotional time, sadness tinged with a bit of relief that suffering has ended. Caregivers must acknowledge and allow all the mixed feelings to come to the surface in order to be able to let go of them. Counseling or a support group can be helpful to caregivers having difficulty with this process. The most important quality to seek out in help with the leftover soup of emotions simmering around inside of you is that of a good listener who will validate your feelings without telling you what to do or how soon you must move on with life. So we will now get to finding the joy. You mentioned one time that sometimes you don't know how to reach your mom. You can't reach her. Living in the moment is just a great way to reach somebody. And living in the moment means sometimes you have to give up the agenda. And you might have to change your schedule a little bit for the day. And accept what the moment has to offer. Because who knows what that moment might have to offer. A sweet memory, a chuckle, a hug, and you won't know until you try it. Now, recently, a good friend of mine wrote a book. He's not a professional elder care provider. Totally didn't work with older people at all. But his mom was in a memory care unit in a facility. And she had become non-responsive, non-verbal. But he visited her several times a week. And when he visited her, his name is John, by the way. When John visited her, he would take mom out into the room, big room. They all have big rooms. Or the little parlor. And all of her co-residents were in a memory unit. So understand, they weren't as far along as she was. They were still all conversational, but their conversations could be very interesting. So he wrote a book. He started out by, not intending to write a book, he started out by posting on Facebook, "Visited mom today." And he would describe or recreate one of the conversations he had with one of her friends. Wonderful, wonderful post. All of us, a bunch of us knew him. And we all kept saying, "You got to write a book, John. You got to write a book." He wrote a book. And it's called Visited Mom Today. It's very tiny. If you're an avid reader, it takes about 45 minutes to read. It is an anthology of these conversations that he wrote down after he had them. He wrote these conversations down, and it is an anthology of these conversations. Names were changed so nobody would recognize the name of anybody. None of these were his mother because she could not speak at the time. After his mom passed away, he wrote this book. It was published. It has been on sale for Amazon, and it is now, believe it or not, in second printing. He sells so much of it, and he's all over the state with book talks, and we're hoping to get him here sometime in the spring. But Visited Mom Today is one of the most perfect examples of how to live in the moment. Living in the moment means if Mom says, my husband's coming home to work from work, I gotta fix his supper. Oh, where does he work, Mom? What does he like for supper?
Exactly.
Not he's not coming home, he's gone. You know, you don't ever try to bring him back. Years ago, when I first started elder care, we had a practice called reality orientation. It was one of the cruelest, most awful things you could do to a person with Alzheimer's. But it was small groups, and we would repeat things, and you repeat things until they could repeat it back to you. But it was horrible. And I remember when my grandpa was in that group with me, and I kept saying, I'm Lois, your oldest granddaughter. I'm Lois, your oldest granddaughter. Finally, the tears are coming down. It's like, well, how can you think I won't know? You're mine, I just can't say it. He didn't say that, but that's what those tears meant to me. So don't try to correct what they're saying.
What's called reality what?
It's an awful thing, you don't want to do it.
Right.
Reality orientation. We don't do it anymore. It's known as being a very, we don't do it anymore. It's known as being a very negative thing to do for people. When my husband's mom was in the assisted living of the nursing home, I said, don't go in and ask her what she had for lunch. It doesn't matter. Because she was sharp as a tack, except she had a very short-term memory loss. So she couldn't remember what she had for lunch. But if you kept asking her, she'd get upset. It didn't matter. If you're looking at pictures in an album, oh, Mom, who's that? Mom, that's Uncle George that's Uncle George when he was young. Oh my goodness, was he handsome? Give them a chance to recognize, but don't ask them for it. And if they're going off on a story, keep that story going. It can be a lot of fun. This book, if you get it and you read it, you will laugh and you will cry. Because some of the stories are a little bit on the sad side. But they are literally an analogy of conversations, and that's all they are. And everything he makes in profit from this book goes to the Alzheimer's Association, by the way. So that's a great way to figure out what in the moment means, because there's no way to describe it unless you're in the moment.
And then when I was working, there was a gentleman that they brought him in his own car to get him there. And they told him they're going to leave the car in the parking lot. So every morning he get up, he'll see that car. He knows it's there. But he didn't have a key. But he didn't trust anybody, but I'll go in most time and sit there and say, oh, your car is still there.
Yeah.
So he saw that gain my trust a little. I could get him to do anything. I could get him to come down and he can go back and know that his car is there.
I guess I would say that was a good strategy, as long as he had no way to get to the car, no way to drive it.
It was a lock unit.
Yeah,
He couldn't
yeah.
get to the car.
If he could see that car, if that gave him comfort,
It gave him comfort, except I went to lunch and somebody go and tell him, oh, you're not going home. And he for some reason, he get out behind a visitor. And I'm coming back, and he was sitting in his car. And the whole office was there trying to get, come on, you have to, come on. And I'm like, oh my gosh.
I hope that person got reprehended that told him that.
I don't know how it goes, but I beg the office group, please, please, go back in, everybody go back inside. And look at me like I was stupid. I said, please just do that. So Ray, the boss, know me, so he said, oh, let's do it. They go back through the door. And I come up pretend I'm like, John, what are you doing out here? He said he's waiting for his wife because his wife is coming with the key. That's what they told him to get out of it.
Mm-hmm.
And I said, no, your wife is not coming. He's inside packing your clothes. Let's go help her pack so you can go home. He was right.
Sometimes, it's odd what will comfort people.
It's a little trust sometimes.
Yes, but how unkind to say you're not going home.
People are mean.
Some people are, yes. So yeah. So also sometimes making a connection means living and loving in the moment. And there's another book called Keeping Love Alive as Memories Fade, The 5 Love Languages and the Alzheimer's Journey. And that's, I don't know if that's on Amazon, but it comes out of Barr, B-A-R-R, Shaw, H-A-W, Chapman, C-H-A-P-M-A-N. And I don't, I had that book, but John wanted to read it, so I gave it to John to read.
Oh.
He's such a nice man. So there are resources to help with this living in the moment, and I guess I would say play apart from caregiving. If you can find something to play, you can play cards, and your care recipient doesn't. If they used to love to play cards, they don't have to know how to play cards anymore. But get the cards out, help them shuffle them, and let them shuffle them. Have them deal them to you, and let them play whatever they're playing, and let them play by their own rules. I tried to learn how to play pool one time with a 6-year-old. She was trying to teach me, except she kept making up her own rules. Well, that's what's going to happen. They'll make up their own rules. But play cards with them, even if it's not a real card game. Play with them. Play ball, if they like to play ball, make it a safe ball. It's good exercise for them and for you. Dance. This is going to, I'm going to knock that over, I think. Dancing. I really recommend dancing, or music of any kind. Sing with them. Even if it's not your kind of music, sing with them. Although I did say to people, I started back in the early 80s working in nursing homes, and the people that I was working with were still liking my Wild Irish Rose, and I don't know if your parents, if that was their music, but I said, I hope by the time I get here, you're playing the Beach Boys and Bob Dylan, because I don't want to sing my Wild Irish Rose anymore. So, make it their music, not yours. Make it their music, not yours. If they played an instrument, let them play it, even if they can't play it anymore. Unless it upsets them. If they're trying to do something that they used to do and they are aware that they're unable to do it, I would discourage getting that kind of activity started. Because we don't want people to feel like, oh, I'm worthless. We don't want people to feel that way. So play apart from caregiving is a bonding experience. That's where you get the hugs and the giggles and the chuckles. And it's also a little relaxing time for you too, because you're not thinking about the next thing to do. Again, when you're playing, you're spending it with the person and not the disease. My last statement. I can say from personal experience throughout my 30 years plus as an elder care professional that times in the moment with frail older adults in my care were some of the most enjoyable and fulfilling that I can remember. Those in the moment times, because you're connecting with the person, not the disease.